What's up, motherfuckers? How you doing? Can you stop calling us motherfuckers? We're watching you. And we don't like being called that. And then I say, I hope I didn't hear someone sassing. Because I'll walk in that bedroom and I'll give you the swats and the bots. You know, those intros usually are to... That's my first, please go away. A few more will follow. So, here we are, once again. In the office. Why are you in your office, D-Rocket? Please stop calling me that. But we're in here because we're just hanging out. This is where we hang. Now, last few videos, kind of a personally journal kind of thing. We're still taking our good break from writing. I still feel myself quietly compiling things, quietly just absorbing the stories around me, thinking about mythology, thinking about folklore and the other world, and I'm definitely thinking about the denizens of the other worlds. Thinking about God, and I'm thinking about how this is all connected. My thoughts about religion, Christianity and all that, my doubts and all this stuff, right? That's kind of where we're at. We're just, hey man, it's all here. Once I can compile this, compartmentalize it, and basically set myself straight when it comes to all this, that's when we can begin the story again. Now, the reason for that is I can sense completing these thoughts will indeed help me with the story going forward, because there were so many things presented in book 2. So many things that we're thinking right now will be exactly what Eris is going through in his life. Now, not only that, but the authenticity of how I want the other world presented. I'm doing a lot of story listening, because I'm doing like instead of reading it, I'm trying to get a lot of these stories as they were meant to be, orally. So I'm listening to the telling of these old Celtic tales. We're going to use that as an umbrella, because you know what we're really talking about. I'm just kind of gathering this information and just listening and putting together stuff in my mind of how this works and what it is like. Now, in saying that, a lot of the stuff like how it feels dreamlike in mythology, you ever notice when you read mythology or hear it, it doesn't have a lot of like tangible real world rules. Do you know what I mean? Not that much. It's always like, and he disappeared there, and this just kind of happened here, and all of a sudden the man jumped in his hand, or things like that, where it seems like your vision or the viewpoint in which you're observing the story is like almost like a god itself. At least that's how I feel every time I hear the mythology, because I can just be omnipotent in all this, and there are no borders, there are no rigid lines of like, hold on, I gotta get out of this boat real quick and I gotta clamber over it because it's a little high on the sides. It doesn't feel that way. It's just, and now we're here, and then this happens, and then this person talks to him, and it looked like a great beast in the distance, but as they approach it was a dog. And you're like, how the fuck does that make sense? You know, just like all this shit. So I'm kind of gathering this information because there are elements in book 2 where our hero Eris really starts to wander into these places. But what would be in the so it's important to make it feel like it's another world. That's crucial. But also what's crucial is they have to make sense of the lore of the whole world that I've already made up. I can't just say like, yep, he walked there, it was a realm of the underworld, and this is going on. I can't do that. I have to make sure that this fits with the lore that's already been created. So it has to make sense. And as you can tell by the Forgotten series, I think it's the last episode, was it 3 or was it 4? I think it's 3. That last episode, you can begin to see already there's at least 2 different realms. There's the mortal realm and there's the astral realm. That's the only ones we really talked about. The circle was mentioned, and the circle is a collection of realms that the Titans created and made right in the world. I wouldn't say they created it, I should reword that. They discovered it and made it all right. Now, this all has to make sense, and this is why we're going to do this, and that's the beautiful nature of the circle. It's a collection of realms, much in the same way that people would believe the stories told about the Celtic other worlds. You know, there's the world of youth, and there's the one of, I love that right off the top of my head, I can't think of them. Isn't that great? I think there's a land of promise, there's someone's other realm, there's like the realm of kind of how I think maybe the dead, because he wants them to gather there, and there's a shit ton of them, okay? You can look it up. In my imagination, that's how we can work this. I'm glad I made it a circle of realms so I can say that, yeah, there's different realms, and what I kind of have to do is say, like, okay, is each realm just something you pass into an accident, or does the character go into it on purpose? If the character goes into it on purpose, is each realm created for a purpose, or is that just kind of like, oh, that's just what it is? Like, you know, there's no reason and rhyme to it. It's just, this is the realm of this. I can't go that route. If you already know me enough with this channel, I just can't go that route. We gotta like figure out like each realm and why it's there and who made it, how it was made, and what's the purpose of its making, and what are the rules inside of this realm, and that's the stuff that we're gonna be going through. So again, my hero, Eris, and the secondary hero, I mean, he was at one point kind of the anti-hero, but I don't know, to me, he's a hero too. They're both going into another realm. Now, Eris is going into a few other realms, only dipping his toe. But Nacum, the secondary hero, has an entire section where he is deep within another realm. And inside the other realm, he's got to discover things. Now, I think I kind of know why he's there, but there's still a part of me that's like, I don't know why he's here exactly. I don't know exactly why this works. And so there's just, it's all sitting here and I'm holding on to it. And I think I know what to do, but I'm always just like, I'm going to be cautious. I don't want to rush into this. I need to set it down. And let's go back here. Let's kind of just read some things. Let's listen to some stories. Let's see what we can do to unlock aspects, because in this moment I know it's incredibly crucial that this is when my conveyor works. Now, this is something that I was talking about with my wife actually a few days ago, and I can get into it a little bit more here. So it's very clear, if you pay attention, you have some sort of conveyor. In our modern sense, kind of modern, not really, we like to think of it as our guardian angel, right? That's the Christian idea of it. And we all have one. And that being is a conveyor between you and God, or the creator, or the multiple creators. It depends on what your fucking belief system is. Two most famous ones, just out the gate, Socrates, when he talked about his, and it told him when not to do something. And I think it was Napoleon who had, and Columbus, Christopher Columbus, they both spoke of this being that would kind of give them guidance or warn them or something of that nature. And we all have it. You just got to pay attention. Well, for me, I believe it's a woman, I think, because the one time she spoke to me, it was a voice. And she told me I was the conduit. And the voice that spoke to my mother when I was being born, because when I was being born, I was a tough one. I didn't want to come out. I was late. I don't remember if I was 1 or 2 weeks late. And they tried everything they could, you know, the suction thing on the head. They tried using those fork, whatever those things are called, to yank them out, basically with tongs. And they tried everything they could to induce me, and I still didn't want to be born. My mother was laying there in agonizing pain for like 2 days. And it was horrible, and she just wanted to give up. She wanted to die, basically. And just say, I'm done. I can't do this. But something told her, she said, hand to God, you have to have him because he'll be important. Bam, here I am. A loser, not living up to it. No, but a few years back in 2013, I was walking because I was trying to go to college because I started realizing I wanted to do this writing thing. I was like, I think I can do this. I made this world, it's all making sense. I just started meditating. I was getting out of becoming a piece of shit and starting to become who I was. And I meditated for the first time, and ever since then, I felt like I was on my path. And so I decided to go to college to take writing classes to kind of get into this. And I could only take in a community college because I got a 1.4 GPA in high school, so I did really bad. I didn't have a lot of options. I had to go to community college. Well, I was also broke. I had no job, I had no car, I had no nothing. So I had to walk there, and it was, I think it was like an hour 45-minute walk one way, and then walk back, and I was only there for like 3 hours at most. And I tried it. And I was doing the writing and I was doing the walking, and it would get hard in the summer times. I would have to like go to waypoints basically, and I had to bring extra clothes because I would just sweat through them, maybe like 90 degrees. You know how it is. Now, one time I stopped at this waypoint. I just like had to like, I need to like fucking not die real quick because I never planned very well. I never took water with me. I'm not much of a water drinker, still to this day. And I sat there and I kind of tried to meditate. And I calmed myself. I was under this nice tree. The breeze felt good, you know, when you start to sweat and it cools you just ever so slightly. And I was like, good, we're not gonna die. As my eyes were closed, you kind of, because of the sunlight, you kind of naturally see reddish because of the blood vessels in your eyes, you know, when they're closed and they're not very thick. Well, it got really, really red. It got so red that it almost made me want to just shoot my eyes open. And in that, there was a voice that told me, you are the conduit. It was a female voice, it was soft, it was clear, and that was the last time she ever spoke to me. But ever since then, I've been feeling, when I'm quiet, when I stop, you know, being frantic and like, well, I don't know what to do, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, and what do I do here, and oh my God. She gives me things. She'll always give me something, very quietly, just kind of slides it over to me. It's never a big thing where it's like, yeah, there was a car accident, I looked out ahead, and in that, you know, like it's never anything nuts, it's always something small. I hold up a stapler, I look at it and I go, huh, and then a certain thought hits, like, whoa, wait a minute, I know what to do. And so I have to rush and go do it. It's always been this way. It's enlightenment through the quiet. And that's crucial. And that's kind of the main idea that I want to really pursue in this conversation is she always greeted me in the quiet. So over the years I learned I come to roadblocks in my story. I always, like, I don't fucking get it. I'm confused. This isn't working. That's not working. I don't know what to do. And I would always battle it, and I made my life so miserable doing that. Because I always had this, there's a deadline, you know, in my head. Like, nobody should take 10 years to write a book. That's stupid. And all this stuff, and I kept telling myself, like, other authors haven't done that. By now, Stephen King would have wrote this many books. And, you know, all this stuff in my head, all this negativity, this doubt, mortal fear. I stopped doing that. And I said, because it was the first time I did it was on accident. I stopped writing for some months because I was going through some heavy times. And I didn't want to fucking write because I was just like, I am not in the fucking mood for this shit. It happened twice. One time it was just really bad times. I talked about before. You know, I lost my child. I lost my girlfriend at the time. A lot of bad things happened. All in like 1 week, right? And after that, I came back to the book and I was a little bit rejuvenated. Well, the next time, it happened when COVID happened, and I was alone, and then I had to take a break, and it was rough. But then I came back and I found the rejuvenation. And both of those times coagulated together into one realization, like, if you can't find it, sometimes you just gotta set it down, and it will come to you when it comes to you. And that's when I realized that. And so ever since then, now I just know when I'm stuck, when I can't figure something out, I might have to set it aside for months until the right information hits me the right way. Because another lesson I learned along the way, time is fucking irrelevant. There may be a realization that these 3 books, the main 3, there's much more after that, but we'll focus on the main 3, may take me my entire life to create. And they may never get published until 100 years after I die, depending on what situation the world's in. And that may just be what it is. I accept that fate. This may be in 3 months from now, I somehow just, oh my God, I got the first one published. Oh my God, here I am. That may happen too. And everything in between, it doesn't matter to me because time is irrelevant. Do I want to not work my stupid fucking job anymore? Yep. I want to just be a writer. I don't want to fuck with that anymore. I want to focus on this book. You know how great the videos would be if I could work on them full time? Dude. But we compromise and we say, this is the best it's going to be right now. It's okay. Don't overextend yourself. Because the last realization coagulates into one. I always say it to the other guys like this. I think of these stories in this world here, the one behind me, as they're being created in a crock pot, or they're being created with a slow cooker, or when you're slowly cooking meat, when you're smoking meat and stuff like that. The longer it takes, the better it is. Alcohol, wine, let it age, because with that aging, it brings out all the flavors, right? That's how fucking food stuff works. Why wouldn't everything else be the same? Because it's all one. It all comes from the creator, so it all has a source. So when it comes to the stories, the longer they take, the more flavors. Simply put, if you rush a story out in 3 months and try as hard as you can to make it a good story, it will be better if it takes you 3 years, because in all those years you can add all this stuff in, all paprika, a little bit more salt here, and I got this spice there, and all this stuff, and now it's more complete. It's much more open. In that, there's many more things that the reader can taste and explore and go over here and think about, and go over there and think about. That's how that's going to work. I mean, it works with everything else. And like I said, the world is all one, so it will always be the same. And that's all those facts help me realize that time is irrelevant. And that maybe I'm stuck at a point in book 2 where I don't understand what's going on. A stream of consciousness wrote it. It shocked me. And even I don't know what the hell's going on. I barely know what's going on in book 1. It's okay. Because time is irrelevant. And we are just merely experiencing this day by day. And in the right time, in the right way, everything will come to you as it should, as it needs to be. I like to think of it that my conveyor is curating my experience, is being my guide and like ushering me into this world and kind of like, no, this will be here, and go over here and try that. And that's a great buffet over there. Go over there and do that. This and that. I feel her doing this slowly, just kind of moving me around, and just, I am in full trust of my conveyor. I trust her 100%. And I know sometimes we talk about, they use the word daemon. It's a Greek word. I think it just means inhabitant of another place. I don't necessarily know what that means. The Christians bastardized it into demon. Anything that comes from another is either an angel or a demon, and mostly demons are bad. So that's kind of how we look at it. That's not necessarily true, though it is in some sense. They always tell, be careful with those that live in the other, that, because they can be tricksters. That's kind of our sense of our world. And me, I understand the role of the trickster. I see that role, and it makes sense to me. Why wouldn't that be the case? And I'm okay with this. Sometimes you got to be tricked. Sometimes the shit that they put at you fucking sucks. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. That's how it's got to be. So, in that sense, it's all about trusting the process. But the main thing, we just have to be ready, and it's okay. And though we're not there yet, we have the ability to quiet our minds and listen and take in the world around us. Because you never know when the right information will fucking smack you and you'll just be like, I fucking figured it out. For me, it always happens out of nowhere. In the place where I least expect it. Either at my job, grocery shopping, waiting in line, some shit, I don't know, life things. That's when it always happens, and I just have to trust that it will be okay. That's true faith, because you don't know when it's going to happen, and you don't even know if this is right. I've joked before, I'm like, what if this is just some sick joke by God to say, like, now I made you do all these years of this book, and I destroyed it all. Don't be an idolater. Don't worship false gods. gotcha. You know, and that would suck. You know what I mean? Like, damn, dude. You let me fucking fall really far. Who knows? It might be that case. It might be God saying, like, yeah, I gave you the path of Christianity. You didn't take it. Well, I'm going to make you suffer for 30 years before I can save you. And I'm like 60 years old. And this book's become a religion to me, you know? As if it already isn't, for God's sake. Who knows, man? We may be falling really far, or we may be rising tall. I don't know. I just trust in my conveyor, and I trust in God. And most of all, I trust myself. Because there's not much else I can do. This world's full of evil, in a sense. It's full of tricksters, hucksters. The world of men is crashing down all around us. And it was killed by greed and phoniness. Image, being, selling, buying. Living in a world like that, you have to trust in God, and you have to trust in your personal guardian angel. You got no other choice, because what are you going to fucking do? Play the game too? Fuck them. To end it on a positive note. Ending it on a positive note. Well, some days I fall hard, and some days it's hard to get back up, and some days I get really caught up in my own anxiety, and I get so fucking angry at stupid people and their selfishness. It makes me so fucking mad when people are pieces of shit. It really does. I can't help that. I'm so irritated by people when they're like this, when they're selfish and greedy. But, and I don't like sitting feeling that. It hurts. It's tiring. My chest, I can't. It's too much. Makes you just want to act out in the dark ways. That's just a whisper. That's the promise that if you do, all will be made right. It's okay. You should yell at your neighbor for being a piece of shit. Do it. It's just telling you this because that's what it knows how to do. The promise, the whisper. It needs you. You don't necessarily need it. It's essentially the opposite of Awen, if you know what that is. In a sense, though. It's not malicious. It just is what it is. And from that point, I know these things. I feel these things. One of the main things I have to do is trust in what is happening around me that's in control of, from God all the way to what's in my control. I was always right in the ways that I doubted myself. In my life, when I would always doubt, should I do this, should I do that? Is he right or is she right or am I right? Whatever my initial thoughts were, I was always right and I never believed it. So in saying that, I learned my lesson. I will trust in myself, I will trust in God, and I will keep moving forward. No longer will I be dictated by the sway of someone else's random opinion jumping in on one little moment. You may be having that moment now when someone comes in and has an opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They just heard 3 seconds of your life. Of course it's easy to solve it in that 3 seconds. Why wouldn't it be? The main thing I want to say is I have to trust in myself. Trust in God. Trust in my conveyor. Trust in the world around me. And maybe her name was cuter. I don't know. Maybe that's her name. I'll have to ask her. I never did. But anyway, we'll have to go off. The next video of the Forgotten series, episode 4, will be the most interesting one so far because we will be dealing with Dove and the discovery of the Aeon, and that's going to be very interesting. Even I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I do because I know the story plays out, but I don't know the details. So that will be very interesting in what happens. I'm really excited to do it, and I'm also dreading it because it's probably one of the fucking hardest things I've ever done, is to finally tell this damn story. I'm gonna try to always, every episode, I always will look at it a little bit differently. I'll always kind of go a different style. And I think the next one I want to really approach oral storytelling a little bit better. I want to really focus on that. Maybe I'll do a little acting like a douchebag. because I just realized I'm never at myself enough on these videos. I need to be a little bit more me, and me is weird, eccentric, and a sense of humor that only I find funny. Generally, people just look at me like, that's not even funny. I'm like, I thought it was hilarious. I need to be more myself, and I have to. And that must mean I must be a little more dirtier in these videos, and that's just who I am as a person. So, the next video I will try to do a little bit more oral storytelling. It'll be kind of fun, I think. I don't know, we'll see. I hope you enjoy it, and we're gonna go on. I don't know when that'll be. It might be a few more weeks. So, hopefully we'll get that done soon, but we'll see. You guys want to see something really cool? I'm getting back into drawing again. Let me show you what I did. Map making. About the only artistic thing I can do. Well, it's that style I told you about, where I draw extraordinarily small. It's hard to like get the camera to like zoom in that, but I try as hard as I can to, as you can see, it's not done yet, but man, oh man, has it been like a time. Forgot how calming it is to sit and draw like that.